In this video, Chris Rawlings breaks down the formula for Amazon listing infographics that each seller should know in order to plan their secondary listing images and improve the conversion rate of their product. Email Chris and his team at Sophie Society, which is an Amazon PPC and Amazon account management agency. Mention OrangeClick and get 10% discount for your Amazon A+ content preparation. So for more information, you will find the link below in the description. And in this video, you will also meet Lisette Lees. She works with different Amazon brands and sellers. And as always, if you like our videos, click the like button and subscribe to our channel.
Hi, Chris. I'm really happy to have you here joining me today. So could you please first introduce yourself and share us a little bit about your backgrounds and let us know what you do in the Amazon space?
Yeah, I'm Chris Rawlings. Some of you guys might already know me. We've done a couple of videos with OrangeClick. I've known Augustus for quite a few years now. I've done over 2,000 product launches on Amazon since 2015. And I run Sophie Society. We're the preferred content provider for most masterminds and courses that you know, including ASM, Titan Network, Private Label Masters, because we focus on data. So we mix the creative aspect of creating content for listings with the data component of measuring their quantifiable result. And that's a lot about what I'm going to be talking about today, is showing you guys the quantifiable, measurable result of optimizing your listing infographics as part of your secondary image set. Okay,
very good. And I know to give us more details about it and to really give us the best value you can, you have prepared the slide deck for us as well to go deeper into that listing infographic topic. So go ahead, share your screen and let's see what you have for us.
So I'm going to walk you guys through some visuals and some best practices when preparing your listing infographics. And this is going to be only data-backed information. So Sophie has done thousands of listings for Amazon products and Amazon ASINs on the live marketplace. And we measure the quantifiable results of every listing we upload. I just took a couple of the most recent listings that we've done to show you guys some examples. And I'm going to show you some live examples on Amazon right now and let you know what impact they've had. And I'm also going to teach you just a very simple framework and formula for how to think about listing infographics and how important they are. So we're going to get through this as quickly as possible to keep this like really condensed value for you guys. If you're listening to this on YouTube, shut things down and just listen for the next 15 minutes because we're going to rail through really, really quickly. This is going to be dense information. And this is one of those things that we like to call upgrading the engine of the car of your listing. You can pour more ad dollar spend into your listing and pump up sales artificially all you want, or get external traffic or anything all you want, but that's going to provide you only a temporary sales boost and you have to pay every time you want it. When you're upgrading your conversion, it's like upgrading the engine in your car. It's going to go faster forever. You're going to make more sales permanently just by spending that extra time to make sure that you have all of your content dialed in. So this is worth a lot more of your attention than the other things that sellers tend to focus on, like new traffic sources and new promotions and new ranking hacks and stuff like that. This is the kind of fundamental stuff that most sellers are ignoring that you can get an edge over those sellers by paying close attention to. So first of all, why is this important? Well, this is the real order of importance when it comes to listing content. So the number one most important thing is the main image. The next most important thing is actually the EBC. This is based on our data. Most people don't realize this. The EBC is the next most important thing after the main image, not the bullet points, not the secondary images, actually the EBC. And I'll tell you why in a bit. The third most important thing is the secondary images. So this is what we're talking about right now, infographics and secondary images besides the main image. Then after that only is the title. Then after that is the bullet points, then video, then product description. So you can see it probably won't be a surprise to people that product description is last, but it's probably a surprise to people to see that EBC and secondary images are number 2 and 3 above the title and bullet points. And that's because Amazon is more and more becoming a very visual rich content platform. And most people are actually not reading the text, even including the title these days. More than half of purchases, significantly more than half of purchases are happening on mobile, not on desktop. And people are used to visual rich content on mobile, especially as older generations phase out and newer generations come in. It's more and more true. You know, people are used to seeing information not in the dry format of just raw blocks of text, but in more rich formats that show, with a combination of text and visuals, ideas that can be picked up in fractions of a second and not in, 5 or 10 seconds like it takes to read a sentence or multiple sentences. So a lot of people will make their purchasing decision without ever reading a full sentence of text on a listing. And it's more and more true with every passing day, because Amazon is coming out with things like Amazon Posts, Amazon Live Video, specifically for this audience of internet savvy users and mobile savvy users that want information rich, visual rich content. So that's a surprise to a lot of people, but that's why this is actually so important. And that's why the results that I'm going to show you, the data that actually shows the results, are so profound because of this fact. And this is why, many people don't spend much money or much time on this. It's actually one of the most important things you can do for your listing. So what's the difference between the primary image and the secondary images? We're talking about secondary images today, infographics. The primary image is just the solo product with great lighting and a little bit of shadowing and a fully white background. That is what it has to be in order to comply with Amazon's terms of service. So it's relatively straightforward, but it still deserves a lot of attention. It should maximize the entire box. It should look perfect in every way and be touched up every way possible. And it should have the perfect shadowing, perfect lighting. And that wins the click. So it's very different functions. The primary image wins the click. The secondary images win the sale. So they're totally different things. The primary image, you're just trying to get someone to click from search results. The secondary images are, once they're on the page, do they buy or do they click off? This is what we were talking about before. Always designed for mobile first, because more purchases and more sessions are coming from mobile than from desktop. And that's getting more and more true every day. I mean, it's going to get to the point where it's a vast majority. Right now, it's a majority. It'll soon be a vast majority. So designed for mobile first. The number of infographics you want is 4 to 5, 5 max, because there are other secondary images that don't require necessarily infographics. I'm going to show you examples of those as well, but some examples are showing the product in use, different use cases of the product, or up close X factor shots showing a specific element of the product that's different from the rest of the market. But most of the ideas you want to convey, even ideas that are being conveyed in the bullet points and the title, especially ideas that you're conveying in the bullet points and the title and the EBC, should be conveyed in some kind of visual way in the form of an infographic in your secondary image set. So if your secondary image set is just more different angles of the product, or it's just more lifestyle shots of the product, I guarantee you're missing out on a lot of conversion and a lot of sales, because you're not communicating information fast enough. And some other listing that is communicating information really quickly, that's communicating benefits, communicating features, communicating use cases, communicating X factors, communicating warranty, communicating differences with competitors. If they're communicating that faster, they're going to win that sale compared to you. And hence their conversion will go up, because the ultimate currency that we're dealing with on Amazon is attention. People are only spending a couple seconds on listings before they decide, even less than that, before they decide if they're going to click off. All right, so there's 9 main types of listing infographics. This is the thing you'll probably want to take a screenshot of. Or you can always, I'm going to, provide my email at the end of this so that you can email me if you want the slides themselves. I'm happy to send them to you. But this is key right here. 9 types of listing infographics that you can use. The first is comparison with competitors. Now, this is something you can only do in the listing infographics. You're not allowed to do this in the EBC anymore. And this may change in the future for listing infographics, but at the time of this recording, you cannot use any type of comparison, even if you're not naming a competitor and you're just saying other sellers versus us. If you do that in the EBC, it will get rejected, and you'll waste a bunch of time trying to get your EBC approved. But you can do this in the secondary images. So comparison with competitors is one of the most powerful things that you can do, and powerful frameworks you can use for your listing infographics. Then what's included in the package is also a very powerful thing that you can use. If it forecasts what the experience of the purchaser is going to be, and it allows them to kind of virtually live the unboxing experience. Features and benefits, everybody probably already knows this. A lot of times you'll want to split this out, but you can combine it if you want. But mostly you'll have a benefits graphic and a features graphic. I'm going to show you examples of those things being combined. How it works, this can be a step-by-step instruction, or it can show you how to use it or different use cases, or it can be just showing how one element of it works, like how to turn it on or how to start it if it's something that's electronic. Then size and weight, this is usually like showing it with somebody or in someone's hand or with a person, or if it's something that is really needs like specific dimensions, like it's luggage or something like that, it can actually be like the dimensionality, the 3 dimensions scaled out. Then there's ingredients and materials. This can be done very simply, or it can be done in a complex way. Money back guarantee or replacement warranty. So if you have any kind of warranty, you can communicate that via one of the graphics. Awards or certifications, or disclaimers and warnings. So go through a couple of examples. So here's what it looks like when you're comparing with competitors. Again, you want to keep it real simple, real clear, and not too much commotion. You don't want too many characters of text. You really want like definitely no more than 200, but really you'll want to try to keep it between 100 and 150. Don't go beyond 200 characters, because this is supposed to mostly communicate things through visual. And it's really like the ultimate combination of visual and text to get information into their head as quickly as possible. So, things like you can see that the ours here is highlighted in orange. The theirs is not highlighted. The ours has check marks. The theirs has X boxes. All of these things communicate these concepts of good/bad, has it, doesn't have it, is like, rich, trusted brand versus, who knows what from who knows what country. All of these things are communicated visually before they even read any of the text. They might not even read all of these texts. They might see just a couple of words as they scan it, like bioavailable, not bioavailable, low absorption, slow absorption, or fast absorption, slow absorption, 24 hours, 2 hours, and they scan it really quickly and get the broad idea. You're really communicating like feelings of trust and less, concrete information. What's included in the package? I actually took this from an EBC because I think this is a really creative example, but you can do this in a lot of different ways. I pulled this one because this is actually a kit that had a lot of different inclusions. So, and you can see that it was like put in the design of a box. You can get really creative with this. Features and benefits is the type of thing, like I said, you can combine these, but this has some of the top things, and you want to, if you've done your research, you already know from the competitors' reviews, both critical and positive reviews, what's most important to people. And if you use tools like Helium 10's like Review Analyzer, you can see what words are used most, both a positive and a negative context. So you can see this has non-GMO, third-party tested for pesticides, and sun-dried and spring water washed, low acid, easy on the stomach. These are things that come from competitor analysis. So you focus on the things that are most relevant. And these graphics communicate these ideas in a visual way. You could see you have the stomach here. You can have non-genetically modified. You can see the DNA strand, where it's located, Nicaraguan coffee. So it shows like the pinpoint on the map. Again, the whole point of this is you're fusing visuals with text to communicate ideas in a very easy to absorb and quick to absorb way. How it works, here's the same brand. These are all infographics that we created for brands. So I use these examples because I know that they actually produced results, and I'm going to show you what the results were. later on in the presentation. But this shows the step-by-step how you work, how you actually make this coffee in these different formats. So with French press or pour over or drip machine or espresso machine, and it shows it visually as well. So it kind of starts to forward cast the experience of using the product for the viewer of this this infographic, and it gives them that experience, that virtual experience, kind of in their mind before they even make the decision. So again, a lot of times what we're communicating is feelings and emotions, not necessarily, frontal lobe rational ideas. So here's an example where I'm going to show you guys how you could combine some of these elements into one. So this shows the size of the product while also showing awards and certifications, showing that it's scientifically proven, that bioavailability is scientifically proven, and their study was actually published in a research journal. But it also shows the size. So you can combine these. Again, I'm giving you 9 different ways that you can think of the infographics, and you only have space really for 4 or 5. Or really only should do 4 or 5, because if you do too many, then you're kind of overloading the purchaser, and you're not focusing on the information that will have the most high impact. So you really want to choose, but you can combine them. And that's one way you can kind of squeeze more information in. Ingredients and materials, again, I'm showing this one because you can do this very simply. This is literally just a shot of the ingredients. You could also do it in a more expensive or more extravagant way by showing ingredients that are just piled up. In this case, for the supplement, you would show like actual turmeric root, like sitting all over the place, and black pepper. Money back guarantee or replacement warranty. You can see this is a lifetime warranty. It shows that everyone is covered by a lifetime warranty, but this also combines it with a lifestyle picture of this product being used to give, her pet a treat while she's walking. And yeah, again, so this was a combination of both size and weight and awards and certifications. So now let me walk you guys through some actual real examples from some of the images that we were just looking at. So this is a dog pet product from the brand Wanderwild. Their orders went from 201 to 629 by implementing these infographics, some of which we just showed. And you can see all of these infographics fit into one or more of the categories that we just talked about: competitor comparison, the warranty, features and benefits, use cases, etc. Here's Life Boost Coffee. Some of you guys actually know this brand. This is Matt Clark from ASM's brand. This is the brand that they use to teach their Shopify course. And you can see, again, these all fit into one of the categories that I mentioned before: features and benefits, how to, competitor comparison, what's included, and the unit session percentage. So this listing got new infographics, and it also got new EBC. So just for clarity and transparency there, this change was from both an update in the infographics and an update in the EBC. So the unit session percentage, otherwise known as the conversion rate, went from 21% before the content was uploaded to 37% after. And you think about it, that's a profound difference. Even if it didn't go up by that 16% absolute points, say it only went up by 4 absolute points. That's about 20% increase in revenue, but it's almost all profit because you're not spending any more to get that traffic. It's just higher conversion rate for the same amount of traffic that you have. So you just got a 20% increase in profit just from 4 absolute points on your percentage. So these points are worth their weight in gold. Each absolute point in unit session percentage is worth its weight in gold because it's literally just adding permanent profit flows into your pocket. And this is what I was talking about upgrading your engine versus putting nitro in your car every day. Here's another one. This grill gadget went from orders of 201 to 629. And then we have the unit session percentage of this supplements brand, who some of these examples we looked at earlier on in this presentation went from 71% conversion to 81% conversion. And I showed this example because some of you guys already know, but consumable categories, especially supplements categories, tend to have really high conversion rates as a benchmark. So what's a high conversion rate for the DIY home improvement category is going to be very different than what's a high conversion rate for the supplements category. because people come back and buy the same supplement with a really high purchase intent by searching the brand itself, because it's consumable and it gets used up. But this is to show you that even if the conversion rate is already really high on your listing, there's room for you to improve by having more clear, more direct, more visual listing infographics. Again, keep the character count between 150, even down to 100 to 200. You don't want to have too much text in these images. Just keep it all as much visual as you possibly can, and keep the character count really, really low. And that is basically it. Remember the formula, the 9 different types. If you have any questions, you can email me at hello@sophiesociety.com, or you can get these slides or that list for yourself if you didn't get a chance to screenshot it. And yeah, I'm happy to have a conversation in the comments below as well. Lisette knows that I'm actually very active in those comments. They're really good at letting me know when there's new questions or new comments. So I always get in there and engage. So if you have any questions, you can also just comment in the video right here.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much, Chris. Yeah, Chris is always replying to the comments. So if anybody has questions, then as Chris said, then just let us know. So thank you very much. It was really interesting to listen how you have this approach to the secondary images. And I think one of my first question is that oftentimes when sellers start to create secondary images and put together some listing infographics, then they first feel like they have to include all the information they have about the product to the images.
Exactly.
And then they're kind of like making it really messy. So do you have any advice how to sort out the most important things to include?
Yep.
I mean, you kind of gave the list, but perhaps you have a couple of more tips to give.
Mm-hmm. That's why we provide 9, because sometimes products have a unique X factor in one of those 9 categories, and that makes it more important. The best way to prioritize what ideas you want to communicate visually through these infographics is to do competitive research and to do a full-scale review analysis of the top products selling on page 1 of your primary keyword. And then you get the concepts of, well, it was too small, or I loved that I could use it in my car, or the customer support and the brand was great and they honored their warranty, or whatever it was. You can't count out the number of times that each one of those things is mentioned in the top reviews of the top products. And you literally list them in order of the number of times that it was mentioned. And you can use that to prioritize what's the most important, not in your head, but in the head of the customer and broadly your entire customer audience. Okay,
that's a really good tip. Okay, so I think you didn't mention about, I wanted to ask about, so oftentimes sellers sell different products that are kind of like in the same product line. So perhaps something for the dogs, and they kind of like go together. So is it allowed by Amazon rules to kind of advertise other products seller also has? So let's say I'm selling a bowl for the dogs, but then I want to like include a leash or something else as well.
Yeah, the place for that is in the EBC. You want to do that in the carousel of the EBC. So this is usually the 7th and last module in the EBC. And that's where you can take up a lot of space there, because it allows you to do a comparison table with a lot of different fields if you really want to. And you don't have to use the fields in the comparison table the way they were intended, where it shows size or color, and then each product shows the different color. This one's pink, black, yellow, red. You can also do best for, and it could say women who have wrinkles in their 60s, women who have wrinkles in their 30s, and you can really actually sell it using these categories. So that product carousel is your opportunity to cross-sell your other products. You want to focus all of your energy when it comes to the listing infographics on selling the product that they're on already.
So do you think a lot of customers out there are actually just looking at the photos and they're like not like diving into the text itself, right?
Yup, big time. Even on mobile, if you look, like, you don't even see the bullet points like on the main screen. You have to scroll down to get to the bullet points. And most of the time, what a purchaser or shopper is going to do is they're either going to quickly flip through the images by scrolling to the right on with their thumb, or they're going to quickly scroll down to the EBC by scrolling up with their thumb. They're not going to stop at the text and read the bullet points, because that takes too much time. It takes much less time to quickly scroll over the images very quickly. Like they'll spend a fraction of a second on each image just to get to the broad general idea, or they're quickly flipping through the images in the EBC. And that's why I really recommend anybody who's watching this video also to watch the video that Lisette and I did together on EBC. Maybe we can link that up here or something. But that one's great. And it's a really good pairing to this because there are different things that you want to and even are allowed to include visually in the EBC versus the listing infographics. And there's a certain way to optimize for mobile using certain of the modules on Amazon for the EBC as well. So watching these two things will really give you like the 1-2 punch of how to use visuals to convert, not to win the click. That's all about the main image, but to convert.
Okay, very good. Yeah, in my opinion, the mobile, if you open up a listing page in mobile, then you can see it's kind of like a long page and it's kind of like messy if you just consider like the text part. So I think the visuals really pop up right now at the current like product page design. So yeah, that's a good one. So is there anything that sellers should avoid adding to the secondary images? Are there any kind of like rules, perhaps, I don't know, can Amazon sellers use secondary images to let customers know about coupon codes or promotions? Is that allowed?
Yeah, that's a good question. There are a lot of things that are not allowed by Amazon. Like you can't copy in the reviews. You can't even like recreate the reviews yourself. And even if it's not a screenshot and you're trying to recreate it, you're not allowed to do that. You can't mention any kind of illness if you're a supplement. Check the terms of service for restricted terms on Amazon themselves. But then also there's a list of restricted terms that we keep internally that Amazon does not publicly say. They'll just reject it if you submit it. I'm happy to provide that to you guys if you want to shoot this email over to hello@sophiesociety.com, because we just literally have the list. It's living and we constantly update it. I'm happy to provide that to you guys. I'll just shoot it right back to you in an attachment. But yeah, so you generally want to, the same things that you wouldn't mention in the bullet points, you don't want to mention in the images, but there are certain things that you can mention in certain parts of the listing, but not in other parts of the listing, like the competitor comparison. You can do a competitor comparison in your listing infographics, but you cannot do a competitor comparison in the EBC. It's really weird. So yeah, there's a number of things like that. We have a whole list though. If you guys want to email, I'm happy to provide it.
Okay, very good. Thank you so much for all of this information. So if any of our viewers would like to learn more about Sophie Society services, then what's the best way to learn more? And also, once more, can you give us a brief overview of what kind of services do you offer to Amazon sellers?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so we deal with adding traffic to listings and helping the conversion of listings. So the two things you really need to succeed, traffic and conversion on Amazon. If you have both, you're good. So we do active PPC white glove management, where we manage all of your Amazon PPC for you. And the interesting thing is that team works closely with our conversion team, which does all elements of listing content. So we do listing photos and listing infographics, like I just taught. All of the ones that I showed in the examples were listing infographics that we created. We do product videos, product photo sets, the listing copy and keyword research, and we do EBC design as well. So that's all the stuff we do for conversion, and everything we do for our traffic is optimizing Amazon advertising and getting you more traffic to those high converting listings. So yeah, and you can just email hello@sophiesociety.com. I guess we could put it in the description if there's a description to this video. And again, I'll be answering any of the comments that are put below this video.
Okay, thank you so much. So hope to see you soon.
Thanks, Lisette. Love doing this. Let's do another one soon.
If you would like to reach out to Chris and Sophie Society team, find the email below this video and mention Orange Click to get a 10% discount for your Amazon A+ content preparation. And now I would like to recommend you to check another video with Chris where he lays off the formula for A+ content for your Amazon product listing.